What's going on, YouTube? This is Blue Bolt Sports. Yeah, I've been kind of busy, with everyday life and other stuff going on in my everyday surroundings. I was going back and forth on what the next video might be because, I decided, I trying to see how I can actually get slides and everything, but excuse me. Reason I came back is because we all know the tragedy that befell all of us a couple days ago with the untimely passing of great NBA superstar Kobe Bryant. I tell you what, I'm still in awe. I'm still in shock. Like, when I first heard it, I thought it was one big hoax. I really did. I'm saying to myself, who would be so cruel and so unkind to put this stuff out there like that? I mean, everyday life is nothing to play with, It's just, I refuse to believe it. I was scrambling. I was checking, excuse me again. I was checking online. I was checking TV. And I couldn't believe it. I thought it was one big hoax. Get cleared up eventually. But 5 minutes later, I see breaking news. Kobe Bryant apparently has died in a helicopter crash. Then half hour later, come to find out his daughter, Gianna, was on that plane too. Yeah, I tell you what, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It definitely hit me like a ton of bricks. It felt like part of my life was over because I've seen the videos Quest X made. He seemed to have taken it hard, and I see the excellent videos from Say Less and especially one LVZ. If you haven't checked out their videos, check them out. But I can't say I wasn't the biggest Kobe fan. I was like mixed because I knew the talent was there, and I knew that he came into the league with unbridled force, even though he was a bench guy coming in, but that was only because the TV was on. When he first came into the league, I kept hearing about this guy from Lower Merion High School in Philly. And I'm saying to myself, okay, let me see what this guy's about. I'm saying to myself, okay, he might be a star up and coming. He could be a star up and coming if he goes to the right team. And I say to myself, okay, his game kind of reminds me of Mike. But it's a little less polished. Kind of like when Jordan's game was a little bit less polished, but it was polished as his career progressed. But I felt like he'd definitely be a star on the right team, And I remember him getting drafted by the Charlotte Hornets. I thought that was a good pickup. But then, he gets traded to the Lakers, and, he was basically close to a six man. He was close to a six man. A lot of those, that rookie year. I mean, then he entered the. I mean, he put up okay numbers, but then the media started to compare him to Jordan a little bit. I said to myself, yeah, I don't see it. I don't really see it, but I knew he had the tools to be great. he had the tools to be a great player as a, in future seasons. This is me watching basketball at like 17 years old saying this. And believe it or not, Kobe wasn't that much older than me. So, you know, entered the slam dunk contest. Basically took that by storm, won it. And you go later in that rookie season into the playoffs. He had those 3 air balls in the series against Utah. He seemed to have taken it hard. You just tell by his expression, his demeanor, because, he wanted to go down. He wanted to be the guy that put his team over the top. And when it didn't happen, he took it to heart. He took it real hard. It only motivated him more. It only gave him more incentive, more passion for the game. And the years went on. He developed a real dynamic duo, real dynastic duo with Shaquille O'Neal. I thought that, yeah, with the right coaching and the right system in place, they'd win the championship soon. But, yeah, I always thought that, Kobe had the tools to be great, first and foremost. And, yeah, the years went on. Him and Shaq were like 1 and 1A. Number, 1 and 1A in those championship years. And you could tell then that it was probably going to be more than a number 2, because I felt like him and Shaq could have easily been the next Magic Kareem. Winning 5 titles in a decade and going to the finals every year. Just like Magic and Kareem did in the 80s. Basically, dominating teams, winning championships in in dominating fashion. That I knew him and Shaq would work because they complemented each other's inside and outside game. To the point where you surround them with the right kind of role players, they take off. But during that time, you could probably easily say, especially after the Lakers won the first championship, you could easily say Kobe was easily top 5 player in the league, especially in that 2001. I remember one game where against the Sacramento Kings, he scored like 48 points, and it was nothing but mid-range shots, turnaround fadeaways. He rarely took a 3-point shot that game. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if I'm not mistaken, excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold, brief cold, but back on the topic, back on the subject. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't take that many threes that game. It's basically driving in the paint, getting and ones, and shooting mid-range shots. So you could definitely make an argument that he was in a top 5 player in the league at that time. But definitely he dominated that. Basically, dominated that series, that one particular game. Him and Shaq got to the finals again, and almost pulled a 4-4-4 on everybody. But Iverson had other ideas, but then they cruised after that. You fast forward 2002 season, believe it or not, I thought that, Kobe played extremely well in those 2002 finals in the Nets, even though the Nets were pretty overmatched. And, basically you knew that the Lakers were going to win anyway. But I thought that during those three-peat years, Kobe was definitely a number two option next to Shaq. That could have been he could have eventually taken it. If things hadn't worked out between them, he could have eventually made that leap like Magic did when Kareem started to wind down. When Kareem was starting to get past his prime and was starting to get older, up there in age and long in the tooth. But I always felt like Kobe could transition as the leader of the Lakers and let Shaq take a lesser role, as he got older. But we all know the feud between those two, and basically, see, my thing is this, did Kobe have anything to do with Shaq leaving or Shaq getting traded? Of course he did. Of course he did. But then again, some of that can be a two-way street. Because, what was it, like 2 years in a row, Shaq came in out of shape. Yeah, I know, I give him a pass for that one injury, but then again, 2003, 2004, you can see the cracks in the armor starting to show in that relationship. And you could tell that, yeah, Kobe wanted his own, he wanted to do it. He wanted to win it without Shaq. Because the perception was that Shaq was the most dominant player in the league. Shaq won back-to-back finals MVPs, and Shaq was the one that was getting all the credit. He was the one that teams feared. And from what I see, I guess Kobe felt kind of disrespected. He felt kind of, disrespected, slighted, to say the least. And you want to prove yourself to be a great player eventually. And I feel like, from Kobe's perspective, as long as Shaq was there, people, including some in the league, and some players in the league, weren't gonna give him his just due until he actually was a leader of a championship caliber team. And so basically, they traded Shaq summer 2004. And it was like all over again, it was proving grounds for Kobe. That first season without Shaq, yeah, you could say they had a talented team, but, we have a lot of injuries, we have a lot of inconsistent play, and coaches coming in and out. If I'm wrong, if I'm not mistaken, it was Rudy Tomjanovich that was the coach that first, what was it, month and a half of the season, 2.5 months, and then they got out to a shaky start. And I think he got replaced mid-season by who is the guy's name? Frank Hamlin. If I'm wrong about this, somebody let me know. But I'm pretty sure that's who that was. But that was the season Kobe struggled to find his way in the league. He basically was trying to establish himself as a team leader, trying to prove himself as a leader, trying to prove that he's one of the top players in the league and can lead a team. But combination with what was going on, injuries with players, inconsistent play, lack of cohesion in coaching. Kobe put up decent numbers that season, but I think he himself went through a whole lot of injuries that year too. But the next season, I think is when Kobe really started to take off. 2005, 2006. Definitely, because Phil Jackson was back in the fold. They kind of improved the team by a little bit, but they were missing a couple pieces to actually be a championship caliber team. Excuse me one more time. But yeah, that 2006 season was probably definitely one of Kobe's best, if not one of his best, right next to 2002, 2003, where, what was it? He scored 40 points in 5 straight games in 2002, 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Well, 7 straight games. 40 points in 7 straight games with a 50-point game sandwich in between. But yeah, that 2006 season was I feel like he really took off and established himself as the best player in the league, arguably. But if there's any year he should have won MVP, that was the year right there, because Lakers. When you look at the Lakers' talent that season, there was two kind of. I don't want to say completely terrible, but it was influx. You had Lamar Odom. You had Devin George holdover from the championship years. You had Jordan Farmer, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the year Derek Fisher came back. Who else is on that team, man? That's a shame I don't remember that, man. But Sasa Vujovic. See, I can't even pronounce his name. Sasa Vujovic. I might be wrong on that too. Who else was on that team? But yeah, Phil Jackson came back to coach. Oh yeah, Brian Cook, unathletic Brian Cook was on that team too. But yeah, you could tell just by his play, Kobe was elevating that team. I mean, they may not have that much talent, and I think for me still, I think there have been worse teams that have been carried, but yeah, Kobe carried that team. You knew it was going to be a dominant season when he scored 62 points in 3 quarters against the Mavericks, and that was one of his brilliant games. Could have easily that night scored 81 that night too. I think if he didn't sit that game, if he didn't sit and he played the fourth quarter, he would have easily scored 81 points that game. That night he would have scored 81 points too. Maybe more. But yeah, month later, he made NBA history, scoring 81 points in a game. And when you look at that game in context, they needed those 81 points. He needed to score those 81 points because, if I'm not mistaken, they were down to Toronto, like 15 points, 15 plus points. And that was probably one of the most amazing scoring games that I've seen in years. And yeah, I was amazed there. Now, granted, long story. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm trying to make a long story short here and whatnot, but I wasn't the biggest Kobe fan off and on because I felt like the Jordan comparisons were kind of getting out of hand. Even though he deserved major props for getting the Lakers back in the finals a couple years later, and then going back to the finals and going back to back. He deserves all the credit in the world for that, definitely. But I knew the Jordan comparisons in some ways were warranted, but as far as like work ethic and mental approach to the game, you could say he is comparable to Mike. Not many players, had that mindset. He might not have been he might not have been close to him numbers wise. He might not be comparable to Jordan numbers wise, which I don't still think he's not. But as far as, like I said again, approach to the game, mental aspect, and work ethic. I mean, he's definitely right there. He's definitely right there. And like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan. I wasn't gung ho, about Kobe and all that stuff. Even though I loved watching him play. I definitely loved watching him play, and yeah, it's hitting home for me right now, man. I still can't believe he's gone. I still can't believe he passed away like this. He left us like this, and just seems like to me that, yeah, I'm still, excuse me, I'm still kind of hurt by it. I still can't believe it. And no, one more thing. Fuck those assholes on FS1 for bringing up the whole Colorado case, rehashing all that bullshit, okay? The man was found innocent. They couldn't prove he actually raped her, number one. And number two, when I think back on that whole thing years later, her story sounds kind of fabricated. Her story sounds fabricated. I'm sorry. I mean, I know some of you Me Too people movement that might see his video might say, I'm an asshole or whatever, or I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, or you're such a hypocrite, you're such a animal, whatever. Hey, you go in and kick rocks. I know I see what I observed. And in the court of law, he was found not guilty. Okay? Now, as far as, back then, Whatever happened that night, I'm pretty sure in some ways Kobe kind of regretted it. But again, you got these some of these peculiar women out here that just like to leech, you know. But especially on FS1, you got Jason Fat Ass Whitlock and Marcellus Wiley over here rehashing his old shit, which is, for me, it was a low blow, man. I'm sorry. To rehash all that crap after the 24 hours after that man passed, like, they just need to get over it, man. But we're dealing with FS1 here. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that they rehash that shit because they thrive off controversy, okay? That whole channel thrives off controversy. But I want to end this video by saying this. Kobe Bryant is going to be missed. He'll definitely be missed. And I just, I feel for his family, feel for his wife. Definitely feel for the other 3 daughters. And yeah. Rest in peace, Kobe. Rest in peace, Kobe. And his daughter, Gianna, Gigi as well.